Hey everyone, I'm coming at you with another Owl House episode review. This week it's Through the Looking Glass Ruins, an episode about Gus. Kind of. Sorry, Gus. He deserves more love, but it was detrimental to him to have his plot in the same episode as a B plot which has Lumity moments and is connected to the overall lore of the show. It's the first episode without Ida, and King only appears in a pre-recorded message. It starts off with Gus feeling depressed because Willow got hurt by some pixies and his illusion magic couldn't really help her. And like the next morning, Willow's calling him saying like, "Hey, these illusions, mini yous you sent, they're really bothering me. Can you have them back?" And Gus is like, "Oh, I'm so useless." So it's gonna be character development for Gus. Lou shows up at Gus's door, and Gus is like, "You need to borrow my library card so you can visit Amity." And Lou's is like, "What? No." But yes. But it's like, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I want to visit Amity, but I'm also going to the library to do research on that human who was here before. Luz and Gus are walking through town, and a Slitherbee shows up, and everyone's panicking. The Glandis kids show up, Bria, Gavin, and Angmar? Yes. They show up and defeat it. You'd expect the Glandis kids to not like Hexide, but they're actually pretty fine with Gus when, he shows up and is like, "Whoa, that was so cool." I mean, later in the episode, they don't get along with Gus, but not because he's from Hexide. Before the episode aired, some people were shipping Gus and Bria because of how they looked in the promo, but now the episode aired, it's like, no, stop that, it won't work. Matt is back, and he hasn't changed. Apparently he's going to Glandis now, which, I mean, we haven't really seen him that much since the first half of season 1, so I guess it makes sense that he's not going to Hexide anymore. The Glandis kids, they say, "Hey, we're gonna go through these ruins, the Looking Glass ruins, so we can find these stones that can make magic stronger, because, Glandis is so cutthroat, and, it's always the strongest against the weak, so if we get these stones, we can be stronger." And Matt is like, "Well, Gus, you shouldn't bother coming, because, your illusion magic isn't strong enough." And Luz is like, "What are you talking about? His magic is strong." And Gus is like, "No, man, I literally can't do anything else." But then Luz gives him some glyphs to be like, "Hey, here you go. It's on me." Luz is in the library. She's filtering through some information about humans. She finds this article about, box of human literature washes up, and there's, a picture of the Azura books, which, I don't know. Azura seems to be a popular franchise in both worlds. So I don't know if I like this explanation that, it's just a box of human books that washed up somewhere, from the trash slugs or the Titan's blood. I still think that it's a franchise that somehow exists in both worlds, and a box from the human world accidentally wound up in the demon realm, but that's not how Azura got to the demon realm. Luz finds that a human named Philip Wittebane donated his diary to the library, and Luz decides to ask Amity for help finding it. Amity, she's reading to kids again, and her hair is down, but she puts it up when she sees Luz. Ed and Em are there, but they're not really teasing that much. They're like, "Oh, it seems like Amity is already taken care of with you, Luz." So then they kind of walk away, and it's like, don't let her down. Luz is a blushing mess now. I mean, there are plenty of mutual blush moments between the two of them, but especially Luz. You can practically hear Ordinary playing in the background. Amity says that if the book is really old and important, it'll probably be in the Forbidden Stacks, which only the Master Librarian is allowed to be in, but Amity and Luz sneak in. Amity could lose her job, but she wants to help Luz. Amity is saying if they get caught, they could be fed to the bookworms. And Luz is like, "Oh, back in the human world, that just means nerds." And Amity's like, "Oh, the human world sounds very interesting." And Luz is like, "I could show it to you one day." And, oh, my heart. It can't take it. It's too beautiful. Meanwhile, back to Gus and his plot. He uses some glyphs to impress the Glandis kids. There's that shot from the trailer of him using the fireball. And Matt is sensing something fishy's going on. That's not something you normally do. Those are glyphs, aren't they? Eventually they approach the graveyard where the stones are. They're held by these statues, and they're taking them, and Gus sees that it's an illusionist graveyard, and Gus is like, hey man, we're grave robbing, we can't do this. And the Glenn's kids are like, oh, well, they're illusionists, so it doesn't matter. And then Gus is like, no, this is wrong. But while they're in the middle of that argument, the Guardian shows up. It's like this blue flying thing that you saw in the trailer. Gus runs out of glyphs, but he casts an illusion copy of the Guardian, which distracts the real Guardian. Well, supposedly real, because it turns out that Guardian was an illusion after all. The real Guardian was just like this old guy, but casting the illusion proved that Gus was worthy. Luz finds the diary, but it turns out a mouse ate through a lot of the pages, and Luz gets angry and yells, and obviously the librarian hears them, and when he does get fired, it's the classic Luz does something that negatively impacts someone else and she blames herself, which I guess is kind of warranted in this case, but still. Amity's like, don't blame yourself, I do stupid things when I'm around you, and Luz is like, no, I do stupid things when I'm around you, and it's so nice that they can just talk like that now. They've come so far. Amity decides to go home, but Luz goes back into the library, determined to avenge Amity, I suppose. The three New Galantis kids, they tie up Gus and the Guardian and take all the stones for themselves. They don't let Matt have any, and Matt's kind of like, what, I've been hanging around with you doing your dirty work all this time and I don't get anything, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. He's just changes and is like, I guess I'll free Gus now. And he's like, look man, you're stronger than they say you are. You did those crazy illusions back in the detention room. You're not useless. Illusions are powerful. It's imagination. So Gus distracts them with different illusions, like the Angmar. He is shown to butterflies early in the episode, so Gus just distracts him with the butterfly. Kind of a repeat of that joke in Escaping Expulsion with Eldor, when he's like, oh, being real serious, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, he's gone. This Gavin character mentioned he doesn't get along with his dad, so Gus creates an illusion of his dad. Except it's not really his dad, it's just the kid with a big mustache. It's like, you didn't have a mustache before. It's like, are you going to waste this opportunity? Nope. Bria doesn't fall for it at first, so Gus creates the bigger illusion that you saw in the trailer of the eyes on the statues bleeding, and they come to life and they attack her, and she freaks out and runs away because she thinks the place is cursed, but no, it's just an illusion. Matt helps rebuild the place because, he's in the construction track. Gus and Matt say, hey, we can come back to these ruins and help you with the upkeep. And the Guardian's like, yeah, that's a good idea. See you kids around. And Gus and Matt have this awkward moment where it's like, are we friends now? And it's like, I have no idea. And then they just kind of walk away. So maybe that's the fuel of a new ship. I know people were already shipping them, but it kind of came off as a crack ship until this episode. Alright, you have Amity back home with Ed and Em, and Em's brushing her hair. Amity's like, oh, I've never felt like this before, so many things have changed now since she's shown up. And Ed and Em are like, yeah, you're in love. Emra points out that Amity's roots are starting to become more visible, and is like, oh, mom's gonna make you dye it again. And oh, they get an idea, because Amity's like, if I dye my hair, I can dye it the way I want it. So yes, Amity has a new hairstyle. It's purple, and some of the brown is showing, and it's shorter, and it makes me so happy to see that Amity's hair is finally the way she wants it to be, rather than the way her mom wants it to be. I'm assuming that Ed and Em will use their illusion magic to hide Amity's hair from Modelia, because, obviously there's no way she could keep that and not have her notice. Luz shows up with Amity's staff card, and she's like, hey, I got your job back. That librarian put me through all these dangerous trials and made me do all these crazy things, but I got you your job back. Luz is sad that getting the diary was a bust, and Amity's like, wait, hold on, that mouse that was digging through the book earlier attached itself to your leg, and she's like, oh, this is a special kind of mouse that absorbs knowledge and can play back information. So it's like, oh, this is how they find out about it. This Philip character is talking about how he stumbled his way into this new world and is enamored by it and wants to harness its power so he can get back to the human world. And it's not directly stated, but very, very heavily implied that this is the guy who created the portal. He has the same hair tied back ponytail that Bellows had in one of Dana Terrace's drawings, So I think the theory that this mysterious human is Belos is not out of the water. I think that he made the portal, but someone took it from him, dumped it in the woods near Ida's house. Ida found it. Now he wants the portal back. And I guess he has it back. He just needs to fix it. Here we go. Amity, she leans in and gives Luz a quick kiss on the cheek. And, for just a moment, all the pains and troubles in the world disappeared and we achieved true peace and perfection. Both of them are, panicking, and Amity's like, gotta run inside now. And Luz is just kind of a little catatonic and just sinks to the ground and still staring in shock. And the episode just ends there. We know that the last 2 episodes of Season 2A will involve the portal to the human realm. So I think that the fear of Luz potentially leaving the Boiling Isles forever is what will finally give Amity the push she needs to confess her love, which will probably happen in episode 9 or maybe 10, but we have no confirmation that Amity will be involved in episode 10, so we'll say 9 for now. They also announced the Comic-Con panel with Amphibia and Owl House. They'll be doing like a table read crossover, which I presume is a hypothetical crossover and not a real one. On Instagram, when they said who would be in that panel, they linked what they thought was Mae Whitman's account, but actually isn't. I guess they saw an account with Mae in the title and her face as the profile picture and just assumed it was hers, but someone should have checked. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and until next week, thanks for watching.